Welcome in. We are back this morning for another episode of Serenity Before Sunrise, or whenever you're watching. So, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are all welcome in this space. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time and attention. I don't know who it is affecting, who it is helping, but thank you. And if it's not for you, go ahead and pass it along to somebody it could possibly support and assist, because there are more people suffering in silence than we truly know. And it is just imperative that we're not afraid to get help. We live in a community for a reason, and that reason is simply because we are here to support, help, and uplift each other. And that is, that's the goal of community altogether. But today, we are talking about unlearning the silence. We silence ourselves so much, and it's time that we just not do it anymore. We are so vocal about every single thing, it seems, except this. And not to say that some people aren't speaking out about their mental health struggles, because I know Michael Threets, he talks about his a lot. I posted or reposted someone taking their medications yesterday, and she was so excited about it I couldn't help but to repost it. But there's a lot of us just suffering in silence when it's not necessary that we do so. There are people that will support you. You don't always find or get support from the people in your immediate circle. However, there is a circle of people that will support you. You just have to be vocal about it. And I'm just trying to help encourage you, motivate you, give you the foundation to go out there and get that support. So we want to understand the mental health stigma. Now, this isn't the end all be all by any means. It's just to get the information out there, and hopefully you act on it. You're always welcome to reach out to me, because that's what I'm here for. I want to build a happy, safe community. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, as always, we talk about emotional experiences here, but this is not a substitute for therapy. I am in no way a therapist. This isn't a substitute for medical care or crisis support. Dial 988 if you need somebody to talk to. Dial 911 if the threat is immediate. Please. If you need immediate help, please reach out to a licensed professional or local support services. They will be nice to you. They will come out and talk to you. It's not what it looks like on TV or in the movies. We all know somebody who has mental health difficulties, or just depression or anxiety or anything else, and we don't deliberately set out to be mean to them. We try to help. So we just have to watch what we're saying when we're not in the presence of those people, because you may be in the presence of somebody else that needs help, and they're afraid to speak up because they hear you talking about, somebody else that that, has mental health difficulties, or they're experiencing something that you feel is abnormal. So there's so many layers to it. Again, this is a judgment-free space. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I'm not forcing any of this information on you. I just want you to know, because I had to get it from somewhere, right? I had to get the information from somebody. It's either something I witnessed, or people I've worked with, or people who just in conversation, they say things that aren't, I can't say right, but you wouldn't want to say it in the presence of someone who's struggling. So I guess if you don't work in the mental health space, you don't really realize it. Like I spoke about yesterday, you don't realize it, but people are listening, and people with issues will withdraw because they've heard you talk about other people or other things. So this space is just educational and reflective. It's not therapy or medical advice, and you're encouraged to seek support. I know that's a repeat, but it has to be said. So, understanding stigma. This is where we are today. This is where a lot of people get stuck, because if support could make your life easier, why is it so hard to ask for it? And I touched on it just a little bit ago. It's the fact that they've heard other people talk about the things, the people that they would want support from. They've heard people talk about support or getting medication or any type of talk therapy or even having a coach. They heard it talked about in bad ways, and they're like, why would I even go do that? Because this person doesn't like it. Even though your opinion holds weight with somebody else, it shouldn't hold that much weight that it keeps them from getting help. So, stigma, it equals negative beliefs plus fear, judgment about mental health in general, or asking for help. Many people need support, even fewer feel safe asking for it. So, back in the day, story time. Back in the day, living exactly where I'm living now, down the street from me, there was a lady who had a group home for people who were recently released from a mental health institution that was, right outside of our town. And it was scary as a kid. It was scary because nobody prepared me for the fact that, you know, this lady was moving into this neighborhood and she was going to have a group of mentally unwell people living with her. So we didn't know how to react, especially as a kid. You don't know. You see people talking to themselves in the street, which I certainly do now. And, they're having what could only be classified as a mental health break right in the open, in the public. We weren't prepared. So it caused me to have a very unsafe and unhealthy view of mental health patients. And these were people who were in an institution, stayed for a period of time, and they were released because they weren't harmful to themselves or others. Now I know this, but at the time I didn't know. So at that time I didn't know what mental health was and why it was necessary. And there were people who were operating differently. They were just deemed as crazy, right? We didn't have the language for it. We didn't know what they were experiencing. We didn't know that there were AVIs, audio visual hallucinations and things like that, and suicidal ideations and things like that. So we didn't know. And we didn't know that you had to be careful in the language that you had to speak to these people with. But growing up and then ironically going into the wellness space myself, again, not a therapist, not a doctor, not licensed in any of that stuff, I just support wellness. I support people who want to be reflective and be self-aware as opposed to helping someone on a clinical level, writing prescriptions or anything like that. So that's where I am. But I know now that I want to kind of catch those things before it gets to a place where it can't be helped. Just be self-aware, and if someone does need help, referring them to the proper people who can help, right? And that was a long rant and ramble. So I hope you can make all that out. But it turns into isolation when people feel like they can't talk to you about what they're experiencing mentally. They were probably told, keep those things to yourself when maybe you're hearing voices. That's audio hallucinations. Or if you're hearing commands, people telling you, or individuals you think that are there telling you to do things. They're telling you keep that to yourself because you tried sharing it before. You're told don't let people see you like that. Like what? Like experiencing something that is happening to me, don't let people see me like that? How do you think that sounds to someone who wants to get help, but they're deterred because of a negative opinion? They're told to handle your business. Basically, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, get yourself together, go fix yourself, and then you can be in my presence. That's what I take that as. So, these ways of thinking were passed down from one generation to the next. Again, I was a kid, like legit elementary school kid, when the lady moved in with her group home of clients or patients. So it was, I can't ever remember my parents talking negatively about it, probably because my mom worked at that particular institution, but my dad didn't have that much to say about it. But it's passed down in some families, in communities. I know the neighborhood was talking about it. You could hear other people's parents when you go over to people's house and you have a play date, what it's called now. But it's just you go outside and play. We play kickball in the middle of the streets parents were kind of, roaming through and in and out, giving us water and things like that. And they would make comments when maybe a client would walk down the street, they'll tell us to get out of the way. It instilled fear, not on purpose. I don't fully believe it was on purpose, but I do believe it did us harm because it caused our way of thinking to shift. So the systems that were supposed to support these people, sometimes it was just overcrowded. And right now, a lot of mental health facilities are overcrowded. So they take the chance to release people who they think are okay enough to be outside to make space for other people that are coming in. But the comments and the concern came from everywhere in between as well. So if we know better, why aren't we doing better? Because there's still fear around that conversation. There is still some type of wariness. And the fear didn't just stay external to the people outside of ourselves. It became internal to the people who actually needed help. You started telling yourself that you should be stronger than this. Other people have it worse. Oh, that's the worst one. It is the absolute worst one. You have a complaint or an ailment, you're like, oh, somebody has it worse than me, so I'm just going to keep pushing through. You don't have to keep pushing through. This isn't a comparison of pain. This isn't a pain competition. It is, you are experiencing something, so you need to get help for that something. Or simply you just don't want to be judged. So this person has tried opening up before, and they were dismissed, they were misunderstood, they were ignored, and again, they were told, get yourself together, get your act together, because people cannot see you like this. Like what? Having a normal experience? So they start thinking that it's better if they just keep things to themselves. So you're stuffing. Everything's happening and you're stuffing. And we all know pressure busts pipes. So then when you react in an ugly way to somebody or something, they think it just came out of the blue. They think this just happened. Oh, what happened? She broke. No, it came from years and years and years of avoiding and being afraid and wanting to be understood, but clearly misunderstood. The stigma continued, not just because of society, not just because of negative experience, but while trying to get support. I've heard mental health workers actually say something and they didn't know they were within earshot of a client, and that really hurt them. A client that at a facility I worked at went out for a walk one day, heard someone, a doctor no less, say, oh, she's a frequent flyer of our facility. Now, how did that affect the person who comes there to get help? I commend her because she said it's not going to stop her from coming back should she need help again. However, that does kind of do something to you on the inside. At least it did to me. So, the stigma that is around mental health, it changes your behavior. It, again, causes you to hold things in. It causes you to stuff things down. You gaslight yourself. You learn to abuse your own self because of the stigma that surrounds mental health. You avoid asking for help. You lash out at others. You create distance. Distance in more ways than I have listed here, but distance between you and the support. You get further and further away from it when what you need to be doing is getting closer. What you want to be doing is getting closer. It creates distance between you and other people. So the people you've heard talking badly about getting help for mental health issues, you kind of start staying away from them because you feel like they're going to see you that way. You could feel, and I'm using you generally, not necessarily you who I'm talking to or who's listening, but you generally. You create distance between you and yourself. You, who you are right now, and the person that you could be once you get the help that you so desperately need. So stigma costs so much, and it's just about being aware of what it is that you're saying, or being open to listening if somebody has something that they want to share with you. It costs nothing to listen to someone who wants to share. Now, yesterday we did talk about asking, do you want help? Do you want me to offer you feedback? Or do you just want me to listen? Both are good, and both can be true. They can say, I just want you to listen. And then after they feel better about what it is that they've said, they could possibly say, hey, do you have feedback for me? I would like that feedback now. So a question for you. When you need support, what do you tend to do? Do you keep it to yourself? Do you minimize it? Do you distract yourself? And that could be self-medicating. That could be going on social media and scrolling for hours and hours on end. It could be just busying yourself at work, becoming a workaholic. Do you over-explain yourself when you do ask for help? Do you say that you ramble on and on about the things that cause you to need this help to justify the fact that you need help because you feel like you wouldn't get help otherwise? Or do you just reach out and grab help? So, more good days. It all circles back to this because it is Mental Health May. More good days is what we want to have. It starts with noticing, where did you learn these behaviors? Because it came from somewhere. Just like until I started preparing this particular content, I'd forgotten about the lady who lived down the street with the group home. So a lot of it came from there. What messaging am I repeating to myself? Are you repeating the things that other people said to you or said about mental health? What if I am afraid what am I afraid might happen if I get help? What do you think? Do you think people will stop talking to you, or will they be afraid of you, thinking that you're going to have some type of psychotic break? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think the medications are going to be too strong? Do you think they're not going to help? It's trial and error. Sometimes you have to shift from medication to medication to see which one helps you best. It's not a one size fit all. So sometimes it may not feel like it works at first, but you stick with it, just like you do anything else. You didn't learn to tie your shoe overnight. You tried and tried and tried. You didn't learn to walk overnight. For those of us who have children, you see the steps it takes for a baby to learn to walk. So it's the same thing. It's trial and error. Instead of trying to fix everything at one time, just create small changes. Say you're going to listen to this broadcast in full or in part, and then go away, come back later when you're ready to take in more. Say you're going to make an appointment with a coach. Start there. And then if you feel like that is the end of your help with that coach, go to a therapist. But try to find out where you need to be on that spectrum to get help, because it is important to just get help. There are people who will embrace you with open arms when you try to get support, especially these days. These are not easy times to live in. They're not easy times to live in. We need support. There are people who are unhoused. There are people who are food insecure, and that causes other things to happen. That causes you to feel badly about yourself, and you start telling yourself things. There's so many bad things happening, but there's so much good out there as well. You just probably need help trying to find some of it. But more good days is just my hope for you, that you know that it doesn't have to be perfect. A whole day isn't ruined by one bad thing. It can be. It can be. There are things, don't get me wrong, I am not saying that there's not anything bad enough that will ruin your whole day. However, we're talking about the little instances of things that happen within a day. They're minor. We don't have to blow them up to be huge, right? Stop holding yourself back from happiness just because one thing or someone else thinks something of you. The road we're traveling is a journey. Not everybody's meant to travel with you. Not everybody's meant to travel on that journey the way you are. You're meant to do what's best for you. So before we close out, I have some reflection questions here. First, what does mental health stigma mean to me personally, mean to you? What does it mean to you personally? What support do I secretly want? but hesitate to ask for. If you're bold enough, put the responses in the comments. If not, you can send them to me directly. I don't mind. You can DM me wherever you see this or send me an email. That's totally fine. I'm glad to read it and get back to you. What does my body feel like when I'm pretending I'm fine? That's a big one. Because if you think you're tight when, everything's okay, what about when you're pretending everything is okay? And what would I say to someone else who was afraid to ask for help? Would you encourage somebody else to ask for help? That's a big one. While you're encouraging someone, are you secretly needing help? It happens all the time. I'm glad for the encouragement, but turn those same words around on yourself too. But what would you say? So you're welcome to email me, again, DM me, whatever, if you want to answer these questions. Or if you're bold enough and want to encourage a community of people, you're welcome to put this wherever it is that you see it. Because I post my stuff kind of everywhere, so I'd love to hear it. And my invitation to you to stay connected is, if you'd like to stay connected, please follow the link below. It is sacredsunflower.fyi. Please enter it into your browser exactly as you see it. Capital M, capital G, capital D for more good days. And I hope this has made a difference in some way, shape, or form. And drink your water, take your vitamins, and mind your business, which is you and your mental health. Enjoy your day.